Now tonight, when you thought everyone is united firmly behind vanquishing graft, the our man, our woman, or our community syndrome is here to haunt us once again, and not everyone is taking this kindly. On the other side, the president is standing his ground, demanding for a break as his latest round of appointment became difficult to swallow, and he is not the only one seeking for an apology. Find out who else. Later, my panel reflects on an artistic impression on Sidebar back in time 55 years ago to the date. But first, my take. Now, the fight against corruption is always marred by several challenges. Among these is ethnic framing. Yet, corruption has no ethnic colors, neither does it have boundaries. Now, those engaging in corrupt deals do so as individuals. Investigators, prosecutors, and judges adjudicating over corruption cases are guided by facts and quality of evidence. Yet, the tragedy of our time is a tendency to ethnicize the war on corruption. That when a public official is arrested and charged over corruption, some people, especially politicians, tend to throw an ethnic spin around it. Thus, the common retort is that our community is being targeted. No individual goes to public office to serve a community. Appointment to the government job is determined by qualification and, of course, experience. Although we recognize that there are always deals here and there, whatever the case, public service is not a community affair. Those in public offices are required to serve all Kenyans equally. They are compensated as individuals, not as communities. Likewise, when you commit an offense or when they commit the offenses, they are culpable as individuals. We are making these clarifications following a statement by Deputy President William Ruto asking investigators and prosecutors or prosecuting agencies to be non-partisan in executing their duties. Now, this was a loaded statement coming against a backdrop of a chain of arrests and prosecutions that have affected a number of parastatal chiefs from Rift Valley backyard. It is easy to make deductions. On the other day, or just the other day, a group of members of parliament from the Rift Valley complained publicly that several parastatal chiefs from the community had been hounded out of office over graft charges. Now, this is the wrong approach to dealing with graft. We have argued on several occasions that the campaign against corruption is torturous and fraught with risks, and proceeds of corruption are usually used by politicians to finance their campaigns, and in turn, politicians seek protection or to protect the corrupt. Hence, the vice perpetuates itself. It's not lost that several individuals accused of corruption or corrupt deals have made their way into politics and used their positions to insulate themselves against prosecution. Given the ravages of corruption that has nearly brought the economy to a standstill, all energies must be spent to fight it. We require singular focus and commitment. Now, those seeking to politicize and ethnicize corruption are mistaken and must be told as much. We urge the investigators and the prosecuting authorities to intensify the campaign and rein in on all corrupt individuals in the government, irrespective of ethnic extractions or political dispositions. Joe Biden, former U.S. president, puts it to perspective. In his words, corruption is cancer, a cancer that eats away a citizen's faith in democracy, diminishes their instincts for innovation and creativity, already tight national budgets, crowding out important national investments. It's a waste of the talents of entire generations. It scares away investments and, of course, jobs. My guests tonight, Daisy Amdai, Aaron Cheruiyot, Jacoyo Midiwo, and Herman Manyora. My name is Ken Mijungu. Join the conversation. Tweet us at Ken Mijungu, at NTV Kenya. Send us a text on 20686. We'll sample some of your feedback. Sidebar begins right now.
Corruption inakemea jamii moja peke yake.
The return of our man or woman syndrome.
And in Suna East, we are in solidarity with Junet.
And that has been fixed, including my very good sister Charity Ngilu.
Kusema ati Matiang'i amefanya hiyo tunataka kukataa.
Ni nini jamani amefanya kwa kusema kweli? Amefanya nini jamani?
It cannot be coincidence that one community is being targeted.
It is a practice driven largely by politicians for their own gains.
No, Uhuru has not embarked on a tribal.
Aside from the latest allegations, and to put into perspective what Cherargei talks about, the leaders from a certain community, and herein he's speaking about the challenges. There are a lot of incidences that have demonstrated this. Our person, our community is being targeted. We've just mentioned a few, but let me begin there, and let me begin with Senator Aaron Cheriot from the county of Kericho. And it's a good place to begin. One, I know you don't support, you really support the war on corruption, but again, your backyard is now being spoken about as the people who are now in everyone's mouth, you know, because of corruption and because a lot of the people from your backyard have been taken to court. And I know from the onset, I have to declare you really support the war on corruption. But I want to hear from you.
Well, Ken, and good evening to our viewers. And well, it's an interesting conversation this that we're about to have, because there are so many issues that I want to say that I'm a bit lost on where to start from. But from the very onset, let me state it myself so that it's clear to every Kenyan and also better understood by you that personally I support the war on corruption 100%. But I don't subscribe to the view that the only way to support the war on corruption is by applauding the DPP and DCI, by also critiquing, not criticizing, critiquing their work, how they are going about it, the areas where we feel they are not doing their work sufficiently. We are also making them to become better. Because as a country, we are not second-class citizens of this world. If we have seen models around the world of how a properly functioning criminal justice system operates, then we owe it to the people of this republic, more so us as leaders, to ensure that those who are leading the war on corruption live up to the very best standards world over. And that is what some of us are calling. Unfortunately, Ken, there is a sustained campaign which I continue to see every now and then. Even in this current debate that you're being told Rift Valley leaders are opposed to this war on corruption and the swooping of certain parastatal chiefs from their region. To the best of my knowledge, I've only seen one MP speak about it. So how it ends up being Rift Valley leaders, you know, is a tag that we keep on acquiring. We are being shepherded into a certain scheme because all you want to try and create is that there's a narrative that is already cast. And therefore, anybody that says anything that follows that particular trend of thought, then it becomes interesting to you in the media, which is rather unfortunate. That member of parliament that spoke that way, call him, find out what are the facts that he has to support the assertions that he's making. Because I saw the other day, I've seen leaders from different parts of this country saying the same thing. But because it does not fit into this script of Rift Valley leaders, the media chooses to conveniently ignore and don't bring that soundbite. But they look for this one clip of this one senator who has spoken his mind, and he's within his right. Because we may not agree with him, but we will question him and say, please lay your facts out bare. Therefore, Ken, if we want to win the war on corruption, let us place all the cards on the table. Let us be sincere. Let the hands of DCI and DPP be fair. Let it be seen to reach each and every corner of government. Then we can be proud and say, thank you and congratulations for the good work that you're doing.
Do you share the same view as Senator Cherargei?
I think I have already expressed myself that I do not share his sentiments. Because personally, I do not think that it is possible for anyone to either steal on behalf of a community or either commit any of these atrocities that people commit in public offices on behalf, and therefore it cannot be said. But the bigger question that you should be asking, do they have the facts and the data to support the allegations that they are making? I gave you a very credible argument in the morning that in Kenya, power and lighting company, KPLC. The case that we have discussed here 3 or 4 occasions before. The person who signed the contract with the company that later entered into a dispute with KPLC that led to all these problems that we have is a gentleman who now serves as a PS for energy. The gentlemen that have been charged, the person, of the two of them, at one point, one was the head of human resource, the other one, at the point of signing the contract, had not even joined the organization.
Okay.
How this MD at that particular time ended up not featuring or even being asked to come and just give an explanation. How was it that you entered into a contract with a company that supplies you with dubious or non-functional transformers?
Okay.
They have never been questioned. So when people have such glaring facts and obvious discrepancies, they are bound to make the kind of allegations as are being made by Cherargei. So you cannot take that away from them.
Okay. Okay, great explanation. There are two things here, Daisy. The first thing is a statement from the Deputy President that says this war should be non-partisan. It should be spread across, right? Then there is the statement that he says that perhaps this is one leader out of Rift Valley speaking. But at the end of it, he's a leader and he's speaking to something that is pertinent, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I want to take us back. Last year, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission released a report. This report showed that about over 80% of jobs in the civil service, parastatals, were held by literally 2 communities, okay? And those 2 communities are the same communities that are the top level of government. So big budget parastatals went mainly to these people. So what we are seeing, that while we do support the fight against corruption, there is a perception that there is one side of the political divide that is being shown to be like a lightning rod for corruption. So that there are some obvious corruption cases that we know that have been in the public domain, and we have seen people even cleansed, you know, ascend to higher public office and be sanitized from this, whereas there are others who have gone down the line. So what we want to see is equal measures for both sides, because you cannot tell us that only one side of the political divide is excessively corrupt.
Okay.
Because whether we know that people don't steal for their communities, that we actually know. But remember that they negotiate as communities for these jobs. There are many times in these public rallies that kina Jakoyo hold, they say mtu wetu, hakuna mtu kutoka sehemu hii, tunataka mtu wetu akue hivyo. When they get their jobs, what do? They go straight to the community and have what they call homecomings. So
yes.
it is celebrated as a community gift that our community has been seen by government. So this is the downside to corruption.
Okay.
Maybe if they had less, if they had a more diverse ethnic, representation in the appointments, then we would not see a one-sided approach to this. But what is clear is that there is a profiling of one side of the political divide.
I would really like to ask who is profiling this one side of the political divide. But let me hear the opinions of Jakoyo Midio before I ask that question.
You know, this is an argument that you're going to hear for a very long time. Because if you go to a football match, like I said in the morning, of Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards, if the referee takes out a red card and he flashes it on a player, 9 out of 10 times, it will be either Luo or Aluya. AFC and Gor Mahia, Jubilee government, Kikuyu and Kalenjin. And I can tell you, the Kalenjins are very loud. Kikuyus are being arrested in equal measure. But what I think is more corrupt is the mere fact that the Jubilee government could have constituted a government of 2 tribes. And the Kalenjins, having been in power for so long during Moi, they know the money is in parastatals. So who do they want them? Who do they want Nurdin Haji to arrest? They are the ones to be arrested. They are the ones who scampered for jobs in parastatal, and that is where the plunder is taking place. You don't want them to, Nudin can't go arresting Agiriama. He's not working there. The person working there is the man from Chariot's village. In fact, in this thing of pipeline, most of those people are from one village in Kericho. They will be arrested, my brother. just slow down. Let me tell you, however it hurts, Kenya is undergoing a revolution, a sweet one. A sweet one. What I don't want to see, and it's happening, and we must admit, is that they are sacred cows. When you are arresting these people in KPLC, don't defend them, because you can't defend that graft. That money went somewhere. The mere fact that we have bad transformers is graft. Arrest somebody. You can't say, don't arrest anybody. Arrest, including that guy you are saying is now the PS. He cannot be a sacred cow.
Okay.
You understand? For us, what we do in this discourse is to put pressure. We want to urge Nudin Haji. You saw the other day, the governor of Garissa was accused of, his arrest was ordered. He was accused of murdering somebody in cells. He's still walking on the streets. And yet you put Obado in prison. So the crimes were more or less the same. It's murder. But somebody is walking. So because he comes from his village, he's a sacred cow. He ordered his arrest, like the governor of Siaya. His arrest was ordered. Why are you arresting Ojamong and leaving the one of Siaya? You know, those contradictions.
Okay.
Contradictions, they're not good for society.
Okay.
They don't inspire confidence.
Okay.
But I want to say that this person syndrome, you will cry, but somebody has to be arrested, because the state for once is giving the political goodwill, and the person who is there in this parastatals who is stealing must go down, whether it doesn't matter whose village they are from.
I know Aaron wants to respond, but let me hear the views of Haman.
We can allow him to respond, because I think I wanted to say this, Ken. You are putting this man in a very difficult position. You ask him to say whether he supports that, and he tells you know he supports. And how? And I have just said it is also not true that it's only this senator from. We've had this from Murkomen. Yes. We had this from Sudi. We've interpreted what the DPR
several
said.
of them. Yes.
So the truth is that the people from your area, they are saying they are being finished, they are being targeted. But like everybody else has said, the rain can only beat you if you are where it is falling. So you are where the rain is falling, and the rain must beat you. You are where the stealing is taking place, and you must be arrested. Yes. But let it not be lost really that what Kenyans are looking for, they are not even interested in this idea of Kalenjin or Kikuyu. They just want to hear at some point that 1, 2, 3 of these thieves are in committee. This is what Kenyans are waiting for. The games of, maybe Kalenjin more than Kikuyus being arrested. Because the truth is, it is the two of you who are milking this country, It also means, therefore, like everybody else has said, when the axe falls, it will fall on you. Because, like she said, you have hoarded all the good things. We have slaughtered a cow in Kenya. You have taken all the good parts. You are telling us matumbo ni nyama. Even hooves you are giving us. So finally, you'll be caught with this big part of the meat. But Kenyans are saying, Ken, let's begin seeing action.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Kenyans are saying. They want to hear that some case has been concluded. It pains Kenyans to see the kind of things you read of in the newspapers like today.
Billions.
Like a guy, to avoid whether it is true or fiction, but it captures what's going on in this country. That somebody tries to avoid traffic jam by using a helicopter. And hell, he earns so little. So these things are really eating Kenyans. And they are saying, your time is coming. If you are part of the team that is eating and stealing from Kenyans, I can assure you your time is coming. And it's not far. And it's happening in the world. You see the world is moving in a certain direction. Look at what's happening in France today. But these guys in this country are blind. They're not seeing. It's coming.
Okay. This is what I want to say, Ken. I have 3 things to say. One, are Kenyans justified to be angry, mad, and boil inside because of corruption? Yes, absolutely, yes. Because corruption is eating away our country. It's not giving us a good future for a country that we live for our children. This is not the dream that we had when we got our independence in 1963.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, by virtue of the fact that Kenyans are angry, does it mean that we serve them anything that looks like a fight on corruption, so long as it pleases and it excites them? Absolutely no. And that is a point that some of us continue to raise, but unfortunately, you have laced us with you know, you're looking at us with tinted lenses. Like what my good friend Professor Haman is doing this evening. This guy used to be my friend when we were together on this show. I don't know what has happened to him
But
for the few months that
we
haven't been together. Because, let me just finish, Daisy. Because when you do these kind of things that we are raising, for the record, I haven't been opposed to the arrest of any single person. If you hear me well from morning to evening, I keep on saying, do the damn right thing. Article 49 and Article 50 of our Constitution, the rights of accused persons and the right, the freedom to a fair trial. Two very important and cardinal principles of human rights. Just observe those. That's what we are asking Nurdin and DCI. There's absolutely nothing impossible. On this issue, for example, of sacred cows, is it not a fact that when, for example, Prime Minister Raila Odinga was campaigning together with your governor, Rasanga, in Migori during the by-election, that Rasanga, while addressing a crowd, said, these people wanted to arrest me, but I just called Jacomia and my matters were sorted. It's in public domain. You know, when you see these kind of things, as a leader, more so an elected leader, who swore with the Bible and the Constitution, vowing that I will protect and defend it, am I just supposed to sit down, clap and say Nurdin is doing a good job? The citizens can do that. But as a leader, I have a responsibility and a duty to ensure that what is being served to Kenyans is the right thing.
Okay.
But that's my point all along.
I like your point, and it's a valid point, and I agree 100%. But I want to throw the ball back to you, especially as a representative of the people. Because if you people, and now I say you as a representative of the people, Parliament, actually did what you were required to do as custodians of the public purse, we wouldn't see this kind of stuff going on. Parliament has failed to protect the public purse from the thieving hands of the political elite and their cronies. Because the noises that we are hearing right now, the Mtuwetu syndrome, these are the beneficiaries, the network of beneficiaries that are now beginning to complain. And when you listen to where that noise is coming from, the network of those beneficiaries are from the political class, the ones who actually lent patronage to that kind of corruption. Parliament receives Auditor General's reports. You have the Public Accounts Committee. You have the Public Investments Committee. We have Auditor General's reports. You people don't act on them. You do not act on them. In fact, Parliament has become a house of bribery, where you people are bribed to actually throw out reports that could recommend prosecution or investigation of these things. So it also is a bit disingenuous of you to then begin to accuse the DPP, because the DPP is also trying to work with what he has. But I do agree, there is a perception that is being created that there's a certain part of the political divide, and what we want to see is equal opportunity, is the same equal opportunities that you people have been enjoying as the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu also coming to bear also in graft. Because like you say, as much as we have the transformers that are useless, we also have some containers, medical containers that are lying in NYS yard in Mombasa,
yes.
that we paid 1 billion shillings for. We know about 5 billion shillings. You see? And this is unconscionable. Every day, MPs, you say that you need to increase your salaries because Kenyans are coming to you asking for money for medical and whatever. But you people are the ones who have allowed the impoverishment of these people, the collapse of our systems. So it says a lot about public administration, but also oversight on the part of our politicians. So we cannot just look, DPP has come in And for once, we have an effective DPP who is actually trying to do something. It is unfortunate that you guys are the ones who are bearing the brunt of it, but you should also be pushing, even as Parliament, because you cannot come here on the streets now. You have become twig carriers when you have the capacity to actually direct the hand of the DPP towards actually recommending the investigation or prosecution of certain persons. Okay. So I think that we must stop shifting blame. People must begin to take responsibility. Yes, let DPP do his job. Let the people who have used the benefits that have come with the political patronage and the tribalism that have given them these positions, but they actually dared to dip their hands into the public purse. They must shoulder that responsibility of doing whatever it is that they did, and let the chips fall where they may.
You know, Daisy, I do not think there is in any way what you're saying is in contrast with what I am saying.
But I'm also saying that you also have a responsibility.
The only thing that you have done is that you have broadened your spectrum of complaints about what is wrong with this country.
I'm speaking to you as a legislator, that you cannot just sit here and accuse the DPP while not seeing your role as parliamentarians of being able to rein in.
If you want us to have a debate about the parliament and its performance, I don't think we have time for that.
But I think let's be fair to what is going on. You know, this is going to be a very long, drawn-out war, because we have slept. The Jubilee government really took us back to the Moi days, from where Kibaki left us. This is just a fact. All we have as Kenyans, you saw the poll of Infotrak. 80% of Kenyans are liking what is happening, for once. Now, the DCI and the DPP, the two offices are all we have. In a scenario where Parliament has failed, in a scenario where executive has failed, in a scenario where EACC has failed, in a scenario where the police has failed, it is Nurdin Haji and the other gentleman that all we have. So therefore, we have to go out of our way to protect them. And in protecting them, it means we must protect them, one, from political interference, where people can say, you can't arrest me because I know such a politician. That is protection. So I want to plead with you, my brother. These people may have shortcomings. For containers to lie in NYS yard in Mombasa without arrest 2 years later, it means there is political interference. Although they were there before Nurdin Haji. Even the containers, even the transformers happened before Nurdin Haji and Kinoti. We must protect these two gentlemen and their offices, because they seem to be the only Kenyans who understand. The other thing I wanted to say, Ken, in our debates, we must turn on the heat on the judiciary.
Okay, I'd like to discuss the judiciary when we come back and its role in this war. But before we take a break, how many you have something to add on?
You see, what I want to say is this. Whenever there is anything or a situation such as this, a country must learn from it. People have to learn from it. And there are a number of lessons we can draw from this moving forward. One, let not one community or two hoard what constitutes government. Until we get to a point where Kenyans feel this is their country, we are heading into troubled waters. Not far from now, we must make every Kenyan feel he's part and parcel of this country. That is not going to happen when, as it is now very obvious, even to those who are trying to deny or not saying, that Kenya belongs to two communities. That's not sustainable. You cannot have a country when you move that way. Secondly, we must also learn that we have been, those of us who have been lucky, God has gifted us in some way to be at a certain level. We have been so insensitive to our fellow countrymen that while people are tossing around billions of shillings, Kenyans are having to sell the little land they have to take people to hospital. And guys are just tossing around billions of shillings. Only recently, we were burdening the taxpayer with a further tax on fuel. And yet the same person being pressed that way can see you just closing. So we must learn from this. Let's be a little sensitive, because it is in our own interest as a class to ensure our lower tiers, as my father used to call them, those who are below us, at least survive.
Okay.
At least they can get the basics of life. The way we are running this country, and these cases now bring this to the fore, we are running our affairs in this country as if 80% of the country doesn't matter.
Okay.
You know,
can I take a break? I need to pay the bills. Then I come back and we'll talk about this. Let's take a look at some of the feedback. And as they get ready, I just like to read one from my laptop here. Timothy Kilonzo says, so long as the DPP has the support of the President Raila and majority of Kenyans, these politicians of wetu syndrome can continue making noise. Let's hope the judiciary won't let us down. We must end corruption with no mercy. Let me see what you have, Mike. That's thank God Njuguna. Fighting corruption in Kenya is almost impossible. Is because of this mtuwetu nonsense. Crimes are committed by individuals, not communities. Ethnicite. Hey, that word has division. We have a teacher of literature here, perhaps of the crimes. I can't see because of the camera, but let me see the second one. All right, Kinyua says the current crackdown on corruption only exposes what we have been talking about. It only shows that these government positions are held by 2 tribes. If the positions were by many tribes, we will be having diverse arrests. Okay, what Daisy says, right? What Daisy says, and that's the last one from which there's a lot of discrepancies in government jobs allocation. Most in government parastatals are due to political rewards, not merit. All right, that's the last feedback for now. We're coming back with this discussion, especially the role of different government agencies in that. Stay with us, we'll be back. And welcome back to Sidebar. If you want me to read your comment, don't put such words. All right, with me in studio is Daisy Amdani. We have Jacoyo Midio. We have Haman Manyora and Aaron Cheruiyot from Kericho. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you were about to speak when I stopped you, but I have a question that you have to address while speaking to that. The fact that the DP himself raised this shows the level of concern this has gotten into. Regardless of who speaks about it now, the DP has spoken, and I think that's the ultimate.
Yeah, there are 2 things he said. One, he told civil servants not to be worried. No one will be unfairly victimized. It's good to reassure. He's deputy head of government. If your civil servants are not working, they're afraid, you need to reassure them that this war we are doing has absolutely nothing to do with you if you're innocent. Nothing wrong with that. Secondly, he spoke to it that those who are charged with the responsibility, please don't politicize this war. And I agree with him entirely. Because, like I was saying earlier, which is a point that Jacoyo, unfortunately, I think this is part of our departure with Jacoyo this evening. We hardly agree on anything, but tonight we are almost agreeing on 1 or 2 things, which is very, very, very unusual. But my main point of departure with Jacoyo, and I guess to a large extent with also the rest of my panelists, is that how do you support DPP and DCI? According to you, it appears that only by uploading them is the only way that you can get to support them. I'm telling the 3 of you that as a leader, for example, I take the views of those who criticize my leadership stronger and with more detail than those who send me messages praising me how much a good leader I am. And I think if DPP and DCI want to help this country win this war, then they should listen to those of us who are telling him, good job so far, but please tell us about A, B, C, D. Why is this not happening? Why is it that people raise issues to do with maize and sugar? You're only pursuing maize, taking it so fast, but when you come to sugar, the minute the name Rai is mentioned, you grow cold feet. Is it because he's a business partner of very connected individuals in this country? You know, when we talk about things like Ruaraka, I don't think
he's not mentioned the name.
I don't think I'm very powerful. I don't think I'm very powerful in this country the way Haman wants to put it. I'm just an ordinary Kenyan, you know, who's blessed to be in this position. But I'm not as powerful as Rai and the people that are stopping DPP right in his tracks. We're telling him what happened to Ruaraka. Look at the example that Daisy is raising. That somebody went and painted containers in Mombasa, something that would have cost probably 20,000 shillings, and sold each container for 10 million shillings, you know? And the people who did that are sitting pretty in offices. When we raise such salient points to DPP, are you guys saying that I'm fighting him by reminding him that there are certain issues? But we are saying we want a clean Kenya that is completely free of corruption. The only way you do that is to ensure there are no sacred cows. And secondly, you do the process and ensure that the process is tamper-proof. Not like the things we're seeing.
Aaron, do you know how you sound, Senator? You sound like, I have a thief, but there's another thief there.
Where have I said that the thieves that have been caught shouldn't be tried? Tell me any place I have said that. I have said
other thieves also. Yes.
There are other thieves that you need to go for. I'm encouraging him to do better.
Even us, we are encouraging him to do better. We are saying yes. Yeah. But so all thieves must go down.
Must go down.
So
no,
we are assuming he has started with these ones.
And where he goes wrong, Daisy, let me give you an example. Yesterday, Kenya Pipeline Corporation management team was in Milimani Law Courts, charged because of a project called Kisumu Oil Jetty. Abuse of office, they did a project out of budget, and those kind of things. Today, just after I left this studio, I went to a committee of parliament where I'm a member of energy committee. The minister with his PS who sits in the board of Kenya Pipeline comes before us as parliament, because you were criticizing us as parliament a few minutes ago, and tells us Kisumu Oil Jetty was done on budget, on time, no money was lost. Who do you want us to believe?
But listen,
when you have that kind of
there is
information.
Can I say something?
I think I don't want to say a lot, but let me say this, Cheriot. There is something called common sense. The moment you allow yourself to move away from common sense, you come out very badly, even like on TV now. People know this money has been lost. Billions have been lost. You think it will take a minister saying it was not lost for us to believe it was not lost? I think between the minister and the people with the investigative authority and infrastructure, who would you believe? Would you believe DCI, EACC, DPP more than you would believe the minister? I should think so. So
I don't think so.
But who would know
if I were to
there's money that is lost?
I'm saying if I were to choose who to believe in terms of all this theft, between a minister who comes before parliament to say money has not been lost and the people with the power and the infrastructure and the authority to investigate, naturally common sense dictates. I'll believe those who have such a capacity.
I've been a member of parliament for 15 years. That minister was lying.
Correct.
Because we don't believe him. Kenyans don't believe him. Kenyans believe Nurdin Haji and the DCI. Take that to the bank. We must protect them, and they may make mistakes because they are human. But, you know, somebody told me today, why this our people syndrome is permeating so much? It's because these people you have packed there in pipeline, they even talk, they even do meetings in their language. It's almost a Kalenjin People's Corporation. Because they know the value of that kind of corporation. This thing you keep saying, Kisumu Jetty, whose side, we are not interested. Munyes was only appointed a minister the other day. And as far as I know, that is not the work of a minister. The corporation was being investigated over a period of time. The result shows that there was theft. And
I have a question for you. Just finish, then I ask you.
And when the results are out, what do you want the investigative authorities to do? Arrest.
Okay. Yeah. Why do you believe Nurdin and Kinoti at the point of arrest? They've not won a single case. So when you say Kenyans believe them, do we believe them when they arrest, or should we believe them at the end of the process?
No, it is not up to them at that point to have won a case. People are in court. That is why I said before we went on break, Ken, that the next pressure point should be on the judiciary.
Okay.
And I think our judiciary, you know, I was very disappointed the day in this Akasha case when the Chief Justice came to defend the judges. How did he know? The people, the Akasha team or sons have named people. Why can't the Chief Justice allow investigations, hand the named judges over? Because corruption is all over. You see what is happening in these Trump investigations. That is also, those are corruption. We cannot have sacred cows. My thing is, in this corrupt society, where it seems everybody in executive, everybody in politics is corrupt, the only two people we have is the DCI and the DPP. And I said, when I was with you in a show, that the DPP and the DCI, in the case of sugar that you keep mentioning, where an MP who comes from far north was giving MPs money as low as 3,000 shillings to throw out a report. I read the report, and the report was a good report. But they decided, because they were given money, the report was not going to see the light of the day. In Parliament, there are over 30 special branch officers. How is it that you can give MPs money publicly and the special branch officers did not see? By now, and that is the issue of sacred cows, the DPP, the DCI should have arrested some MPs. That is what Kenyans are looking for. You know, in Ghana, Jerry Rawlings, when he took power, through a military coup, Ghana was so corrupt. Go to Ghana today, and what did he do? To stamp authority, he took politicians to the stadium and shot them. And when he said, that is enough, now I've sent a message, the public told him, take Mong. We don't care whether they are innocent or guilty. And go to Ghana today.
So
when we are foolishly,
because he said we pick anybody.
No,
we should shoot Jaboyo.
Yes. No, but
you go for anybody.
If it is to send a message, if it is to send a message, so that our grandchildren and their grandchildren will live in a graft-free society, I'm ready to take that bullet.
Okay.
I can tell you.
I wanted to say something briefly, very, very briefly.
Because I need to give Daisy an opportunity.
I want to support Cheriot for saying he's making his contribution, that DPP is doing a good job, but he's adding his voice so that we can move faster.
A good job can be made better.
For that, I want to say, but I want to remind you, instead of adding your voice by way of protecting wetu and what wetu, it comes out clearly. It comes out clearly.
He's not protecting. He's not.
It doesn't even have to be you. It even doesn't have to be you. Instead of
doing
doing that, I want to suggest, since you are a member of parliament,
yes, Hammer,
can you please help us fight corruption by coming up with a law that puts a limit to the length these prosecutions can
take place?
Let's say if you are charged with corruption-related cases, the whole thing must be clear within 6 months. We are able to do it with the petitions. Let's do it with corruption. Yes, if you do that, my friend, you'll have made a contribution beyond saying Mutuetu has been.
You know, we need to take a break. Yes.
Okay. I want to remind Aaron, because Aaron is using the presence or the presentation that was made by the minister, the cabinet secretary and his peers today to justify that actually no money was lost. And I want to remind you that even when NYS was being stolen, the then cabinet secretary came to parliament and said that money was not lost, and insisted that money was not lost, and came with her PS and CS and all these officers, and they said money was not lost. And then we discovered that money was lost. The other thing is, I think that it's important, even as a leader, that we learn to support other arms of government, independent arms of government, and not cast aspersions on them. We actually do have very good investigative units. Our intelligence services actually do work, you know? And so I think that it is good to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Nordin Haj, as DPP, really has the goodwill of the head of state and the people. And Kenyans are willing to support a genuine fight against corruption. Yes, they must go after others. But I think we're also being a little bit disingenuous when we stretch our hand out there. But what I do know is this: if the fight against corruption works, then it will also be untenable for other networks to continue to stand. Okay. So we must support them in what they are doing, and really not cast aspersions, but help. And Parliament, tafadhalini, protect the public purse, because the fact that so much money, billions of shillings, gets lost. I mean, we talk about billions of shillings as though you're talking about 1 shilling. It is unconscionable. And this is happening under the very clear watch of members of Parliament who shift, reports here and there, protect people, take money to throw reports. It is unconscionable. So the same way that you want to improve the work of the DCI and the DPP, you should also appeal to your colleagues in Parliament.
You know, Daisy, and this is something that I'm really glad, that at least there's one thing that we agree with the three of you, that there are questions that you are also raising about this entire process and how it's being done. And that is a big plus for me, because for a long time, this country is used to either right or left. You either agree with this or you don't agree with it, which is quite an unfortunate situation to be in. If I told you, by virtue of my position, there's certain information that I access also, which members of the public don't get to access. These officers that are being told to do investigation, do you think they're Burundians or Rwandans? They are Kenyans who are brothers, who have sisters, who are our uncles and relatives. And when they tell you that some of these things you are being told, I want Daisy charged, and when you ask, charge them with what you're told to find whatever, who am I to doubt them? The investigative officer, when you have people from public procurement who help DCI to wiggle their way through the procurement law, and they tell you, we have advised these guys and told them that what was done was legal, but they are telling us you must find a problem. I mean, you expect me to just come and cheer and clap with you?
No.
I must be able to come
That's
out.
true.
There's certain information. There is, and I know for a fact, an extortion racket that is going on thanks to the way this war on corruption is being waged. If you ask civil servants to speak, the CEOs will tell you that on almost every other Thursday and Friday, they are being told, toa kitu or we'll put you on the list of Kamata Friday. Because if this war was being done properly and you're being told that your file is ready, appear in court, then nobody will use the umbrella of being arrested on Friday to extort from people. These are the things that we continue to raise, and we say, please, you're doing a good job, but you can make it better.
Okay. A good point to take another break. We'll come back with that discussion, and when we come back, I'd like to discuss now the institutions. And there's a fact that is coming out that a lot of these arrests are happening on Friday. I like your views on that. But let's take a look at some of the feedback before we take a break. Okay, from Lady M says, whoever who is corrupt must face the consequences regardless of where they come from. That's Lady M. We have another one. Mike Adaka says the DPP can't work the way these politicians want him to. He is mandated to work independently and without any form of intimidation. Let's agree that this country is in bad shape today because of corruption. And the final one, Mike again, so far DPP and ODPP are doing what is within the power to ensure that anyone stealing or has stolen public funds is brought to book. We are also expecting to see more arrests of these so-called sacred cows. All right, on that note, we take a short break. We'll be back to conclude this discussion on corruption. Stay with us.
When young people, and you know, for a long time in Kenya, simsako ilikuwa inafanywa Fridays. So, why is it not an issue? Because some high-ranking individuals are now being arrested on a Friday. Suddenly it's an issue. As far as we are concerned, it is legal and it is proper, and we will continue with it. Yeah, and there are reasons as to why we are doing it. Yeah, and I have no apologies to make. I'm sorry.
Now this has been Aaron, your reaction.
No, let me get the first bite.
Yeah, about that.
About that.
Yeah, Kamata Friday.
Yes, because I think it's a wrong thing. I engaged Githu Mugai the last 10 years. And I said, this thing that a policeman arrests you, even if you are a known person, a known civil servant, you're a member of parliament, and they take you to prison, why can't they tell you, give you summons to go to court?
Appear tomorrow at 9
a.m. You know, because you are really innocent until proven guilty. And we must do that. What the DPP has said, he is wrong. And I hope he doesn't get rogue. Hope he doesn't get rogue, because that thing is illegal. You cannot keep somebody from Friday until Monday against the wishes of the Constitution. What he is doing, he cannot call it legal. And we want to support him. But when he gets rogue, we will disagree with him.
You'd call him out.
We will call him out. And we want to really protect him. But he must not misuse the goodwill that we are giving him. You can arrest somebody on Wednesday, you can arrest somebody on, and there's nothing wrong with summoning people. Issue summonses.
Can I be the devil's advocate? I want to speak for Kenyans. You see, what Jacoy is saying, it's understandable. But you want red carpet for thieves.
No.
Because as it were, Jacoy Mediwo, Kenyans are saying they are not happy with the idea that when these fellows are arrested, they are taken to Integrity Center where they are babysat. They are not taken to places where other Kenyans are taken. They are taken to Mdaiga police station. Their families see them. They eat well. We see them when they appear in the court. They are clean. Another Kenyan will be dirty. Kenyans are not happy that when these guys go to industrial area, you know them. They are put in the juvenile section. They are given mattresses. Kenyans are already complaining.
No, but
so do not make it worse by bringing the idea that the treatment given them, including when they are arrested, is bad. Because that's the red carpet treatment Kenyans are against.
But I must correct the wrong impression he's trying to give, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking for all Kenyans. As we speak, a policeman is busy arresting somebody for nothing in Siaya on a Friday. But they will be taken to court on Monday. And you know, basically, you are mistreated in this police cells. We don't even have, we give this department so much money, they have not made them fit for human consumption.
I thought Akomodi did that when he was
the leaders are supposed to have made those
from a
places
police cell, anybody from a police cell, and you cannot blame the police for this. Because the state, this money is put there to be stolen. The money does not get to these penitentiaries. So what I was saying, the other day, MCAs were arrested in Homa Bay, brought to Kisumu, then they're taken to court and they said, you will be brought back to court after 14 days. So they are taken to Kodiaga. You know, this system, we must clean it up. The judicial system, the judiciary, what happens after, we must clean it up. That is not the work of Nordin Haji. His work is to investigate and prosecute.
Okay.
I want to agree with Jacoyo.
Let her go first.
Okay.
I do want to agree with Jacoyo to the extent that, first of all, I think being arrested is humiliation enough, you know, because I do think that there's an element of, you know, really wanting to humiliate and dramatize this whole fight against corruption. And in the process, we could actually end up losing the plot. The Constitution is clear. It says that if a person is arrested, they should be charged within 24 hours, okay? And we know that the courts are not working on Saturdays. So we know that the intent of Kamata Friday is to put them in over the weekend. You know, to put them in. Even that Msako that DPP has talked about, you can still go and even bail your guys out over the weekend. Yes. You know, you can bail them out. You can get police bond and then you get, you know, a notice to appear in court. So I think that it is humiliating enough when a public servant, especially a senior public servant, is arrested. And we shouldn't, the application of the law should not be done with the intent to humiliate. It should be done with the intent of wanting to see justice done. And so I think that the DPP should be careful about how he goes about it. And you know, we need to have equal application of the law. That's what I'm saying, and he shouldn't defend those things which are really patently not right within
and to you, what is wrong is arresting on Friday. What happens?
Well, no, the thing is, you can be. There are times when investigations would fall at such a point where you would be arrested on Friday. But now what we are seeing is that Friday. Arrest Kamata Friday is happening with the intent to humiliate, to keep guys in coolers for the weekend.
Okay.
You know,
it's a good thing.
Kenyans have always been arrested on
Fridays.
Yeah,
and even this Friday,
now it is falling on you big people. Now you know, oh, it's bad.
That's what Haji says.
Listen, Ken.
Yes.
I'm so excited because slowly by slowly, the three panelists that are here with me are continuing to agree with me on the inconsistencies that exist in this one corruption. You've just seen the way Nurdin is speaking. And he's forgetting one thing, that when you arrest a Kenyan and you go out of your way to be a sadist and try to humiliate him by all costs, he's forgetting that he's not the judge. He's a prosecutor.
Yes.
There will be a judge who will either agree with him and say this person is guilty or disagree with him and set this person free. Is he forgetting that Kenyan taxpayers' money has been used in the past to pay for people who are prosecuted wrongly, malicious prosecution, and we paid billions of shillings? That money, I'm almost asking him a similar question to what his member of parliament, Eden Duale, once asked another person. It will not be out of his own pocket as DPP. It will be our money as Kenyans. Therefore, it is in our best interest to tell him, my friend, do your work within the confines of
the
law.
Constitution.
There's
And
nothing
you know,
impossible.
if you look, Ken, let me just raise one issue.
Yes.
You know, yesterday, in Kisumu Cereals Board, people were arrested. And an intelligent guy called Wekesa, who works for EACC, he said because the anti-corruption court did not sit today, and tomorrow is a holiday, he gave them a police bond.
Yes.
That's the way it's supposed to work. And you know, this is a common, that is how civilizations work. What they need to do, this guy, since he's so, is all we have, him in the DCI, why can't they put Maraga down and say, give us a corruption court? Let it even be mobile.
There is a corruption court.
So do not an anti-corruption court, so that you don't criminalize people. You don't arrest people on Friday to punish them before you prove their guilt.
And you know sometimes, just 30 seconds, and you know sometimes it even gets to Monday, then he appears before the judge and says, I need more days to round up my investigation. Why were you arresting people in the first place if you had not concluded your investigations? He's behaving like those old police officers back in the day who will just walk in the street and pick all the young people and say that because you are young, it is a crime. Then they will put Bangi in two and other things on the others and say,
there was a time when English was something to be spoken by a few. Now many Kenyans speak English. There was also a time when a TV was not something for everybody. Now everyone has a TV and they are watching us. Even as you complain about a guy being arrested on Friday, there are people in the remand prison for 20 years, 15 years,
yeah, there's a
10
lady
years.
that I saw in the news.
They have not been tried. The delays are unimaginable. Some of these people will finally be proved innocent. So you are making noise about fellows. If you see the circumstances under which these people are arrested, the kind of thievery that has gone on in those places, and the kind of impact it has had on Kenyans in this country, and you make fuss that these agencies are arresting people, whether it is Kamata Thursday or Friday.
Haman, two wrongs don't make a
I
right.
am saying that Kenyans will not take it.
No. It is one thing. It is about the law.
But who is it? Who is it?
If the DPP has sufficient evidence against these people and he arrests them, has them charged in court, and they go through due process and they're arrested, Kenyans will support it. What we are saying is,
start with them?
Just because, listen, Herman, you cannot argue that because we have people whose rights have been violated, that it's then okay to continue to violate the law. No.
And another point you are missing, there's a point you are missing.
Then it means then
another
we pause
point you
everything.
are missing. Why do people steal in this country public money? Because it is easy to steal.
Yeah. Well,
it's enjoyable. You enjoy the proceeds. And there's no shame. If anything can bring shame, we want to get to a point where you drive home a Mercedes.
Suspending the law.
Where you drive home a Mercedes and your wife or husband or son or daughter tells you, hey, daddy.
How did you get
this Mercedes? We want Kenyans to be ashamed of corruption and stealing.
Yes.
So let's drag them through anything. Let them get
no question for Haman.
Yes.
Haman, today in one of the papers, in one of the dailies, there was this.
And when you read those papers, you feel like crying.
Of course, there is no good news in our newspapers. Or TV.
You can almost get.
My question to you: what would you recommend for that clerk at NHIF?
Yes.
Who was basically a clerk employed at 50,000, then he, for some reason, a receptionist, gets into the tender committee.
Yes.
Then he goes and buys 8 houses at 160 million.
Yes. What I would recommend for them?
Yes, because you seem to want to suspend the law.
Nobody suspend the law.
You know,
What you're proposing is...
The investigative authorities...
They let me say, if you rattle a snake...
They've already garnished the property. So the guy must go through due process. What I'm saying, you know, that same person, he also has children that you're saying are worried about this.
Yes.
What we are being treated to in this country is that our children are growing through graft.
We want them to be
the problem is structural. Problem is structural, and when you want to change things, you must set up structures. And the reason why we put the 24-hour limit in our constitution, and I am one of those people who campaigned for Kenya and said 20% is bad. We knew about the people who have been in remand for 20 years. That's what we were trying to end. It must end somewhere. Then we finish the backlog. And Maraga, thanks to his efforts, he has said, let us finish the old cases.
You know something
and
small, you know something else. Do you know something? Let me tell you. Do you know this, thanks to these kamata things, there is less stealing going on. Guys are scared. And that's what we want. We want Kenyans who steal from Kenyans to know it doesn't pay to steal. We want them to know we can come for you on a Friday. And we want even our courts, and that's part of the laws you should put in place.
But it is not in law.
I'm saying, no, there's nothing wrong. It's not illegal to, there's no way it's written you can only arrest somebody on a Monday. No.
Haman.
Is it written anywhere?
No. Haman.
So Nudin is right. Arrest them on Fridays, give them tough bail terms. And I'm speaking for Kenyans.
But you can also arrest them on Monday and give them tough bail terms.
Kenyans are very unhappy. Kenyans are very unhappy that they see people who, by their own admission, have sold air and gotten hundreds of millions of our money doing lipsticks in court and then being given very flimsy bail terms, very cheap bail terms.
Listen,
Kenyans are not happy. I speak for Kenyans, they're not happy.
Haman.
They want these people to be arrested on Fridays.
Or let me call you Mohammed. So
yes,
that
now you are talking. Yes.
Now you have your new name.
Yes.
You are older than me.
By far.
Therefore, you should know. No, he's my father, not my grandfather.
Yes.
You should know the history of this country far better than myself.
I do.
I have read it. Yes. You have lived it.
I have lived it.
There should be a difference.
Correct.
You know very well what Jacoy is telling you is true.
Correct.
That previously in the past, there have been instances where when we allowed the kind of power that you want us to give to DPP and DCI, how it has been used to abuse the freedom and rights of other Kenyans. Okay. And that is why when we voted for this constitution, we included this very important clause. On Article 49, Article 50. Rights of accused persons and the right to a fair trial.
Has he violated any of those?
Extremely.
Has he?
He continues to violate them every day.
24 hours.
Number one, he violates the 24-hour. Number two, he continues to plead in each and every of his case that people should not be given bail.
That's what Kenyans want.
What the hell is that?
But Kenyans don't want these people to be given
a constitutional right. You cannot
but it is also conditional. It can be limited.
Yes, it is true.
Because some of these people are also possible flight risks.
But when you make each and every of your case, you don't want people to get bail. Surely,
no. I think some of it is also because of the frustration.
And also another thing that I don't want you guys to forget is that when this war began, it appeared as if Judiciary was almost being cowed into it. They were being intimidated, and they were very lenient on bail. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, thanks to people speaking out, almost all the suspects that have been presented before court have been granted bail, which is a good thing because we are saying, and we continue to argue like this happened. Out of the 10 or 9 people that you're calling thieves, there may be 1 or 2 who are innocent.
Correct.
What will happen to them after you have publicly humiliated them, you've kicked them out of office, then tomorrow the court doesn't agree with you and say, these people are innocent.
The court may say
the only remedial action that is there for DPP is to ensure that throughout this particular process, he is fair and doesn't go out of his way to cause injury or harm to these people. In fact, what Jaco is telling you is
the DPP has said something.
I wish in a proper functioning...
You are a leader. Yeah. I may not access the DPP. For you, it's almost automatic. He has said he will continue to arrest them.
Yes. And he has
been done before, and he has said, importantly, he has reasons. Why don't you approach the DPP and ask him, as a leader, what are some of these reasons?
No, I disagree.
I can't negotiate with him the Constitution.
He has not violated the Constitution.
Prof, the history of this country, during the Nyayo era, people used to disappear, only to surface later. After the police have driven them to Kwale from Nairobi, then they drive you to Busia until you confess the things you never did. That's why we put in law that people must be produced in court. And sometimes, you know, these cases about parastatals, like this kinsman of Chariot, you know, a lot of people get arrested, and all those people cannot be guilty. Common sense. So when you take them there and keep them for a long time, like this case of NYS.
What is a long time to you, Jacoya?
A long time, like that, the NYS team, you know how they were denied bail, like through. And they said the trial would begin like a week later. That trial has never begun. But they have served jail time, generally. We said, charge them so that they come out and sort themselves out. The people who think they're innocent or they even know they are guilty and they want to play around with the law, they go and look for lawyers and all. That is the work of lawyers. Okay. Let us clean our society. We are not the first civilization to do this. It works better everywhere.
When done the right way.
When done the right way. We cannot have a repugnant past to determine our future.
True. Okay. And we cannot begin to adopt some of the repugnant practices as a justification. Although I do agree that some of the stringent bail terms really should be considered, because some of these people, they come out on bail, they will interfere with investigation, they can be a flight risk. So I think we need to be able to strike a balance. And those are some of the things that we can appeal, as you say, to the DPP, even as we continue to support it.
Which is, I think, is important. You know, people set up institutions to make them live in a civilized way. And one of these key institutions is the judiciary. So that there is due process. So that you are impeached in a civilized way. But when you, the leaders of this country, completely hold people in contempt, when you steal from the public in a manner and in amounts that you steal, and you smile in court, and you are told, go and come back after a month or two, and the people are watching, the people will impeach you.
But that is
not... Listen, it's not going to take long, Ken, before people in this country begin to impeach you directly. Therefore, I'm advising you, let Nur Haji, whatever his name is, do his job. Let Kamata continue. You should, in fact, be asking Nurdin, why don't you create space in our jails by removing so many of our innocent brothers and sisters who are there and create room for the leaders who are stealing?
I think even the president has made that request.
That's good. But I think the problem really, Ken, is in our fabric as a society. We must deal with the system of education, our value system, because when you say that somebody who steals $1 billion is different from somebody who steals a shilling, that is where you miss it. The mere thought that you can be a thief is what is criminal.
It's true.
The quantum is different because we can go after what you did with the money. But the mere fact that everybody, all politicians, all civil servants, they take public offices, and the first thing they imagine is the opportunity to steal. That to me is what I have a problem with.
Okay.
Because I think what is criminalized in law is not the quantum of what you steal, it's the idea of theft.
Yes.
And we don't want Nurdin to eventually lose this war. We want him to win. And the only way you can win is by playing it the right way.
Okay. The way he's going about it.
I agree.
You'll never agree.
Whether Nurdin has the people's support, including ours, all of us, we support him.
Interestingly, I'm looking at the responses, and 100% of Kenyans are with Kamata Friday.
Yes.
That's absolute.
I'm telling you,
everyone who's tweeting about it says, let it continue. All right, gentlemen, I'd like to go to the last topic. We have about 12 minutes on the clock to do this. And let's first listen to this.
I'm being criticized. I could see yesterday that I'm appointing a 91-year-old to look after the youth sports fund and lakini jameni, let me put yourself in my shoes. Ukiona vile watu wanaiba pesa, and this is money that we went and we passed the other day because we want to see how we can use this money to support us for our health programs, for our sports programs, for our arts programs, and these are programs that will benefit you. Alafu tuseme tupatie kijana, mimi afadhali nikae na huyo mzee bwana achunge hiyo pesa itumike vile inatakikana. Bwana.
And that was not the first time the president was firmly standing behind an appointment. He did that with the KCC chairperson, that's Matu Amai, right? And he's doing it again. Let me begin with Aaron. Just brief comments on this because we are out of time.
Well, I have a lot of respect for my party leader and my president. But unfortunately on this one, I totally disagree with him. I totally and respectfully disagree with my president because there's no statistic to show that all these people who are stealing are thieves, are young people, you know? Just the same way we are saying they don't come from any community, I don't think there is an age disparity in this thing. Just find the right people from whatever age bracket who can run any of our youth programs. Because to be sincere, I'm a Jubilee legislator and I have to be sincere and honest. On the score of youth empowerment, giving opportunities to young people and ensuring that we create jobs for the young people as we promised them during the campaign, we are scoring extremely poorly as an administration. And therefore, as a legislator, it is one thing that I want to see how we can interrogate and make it better. Unfortunately, that statement doesn't seem to support my assertion. And therefore, I beg to respectfully disagree with my president.
Before I even say something, there's something about these useful people. Many of these people who have been stealing billions, and especially from the Rift Valley, are very useful. Maybe that's what he meant. They look very useful. Where is that from? But well, on a light note, Ken, I do not subscribe to the idea that age is a limiting factor. Not because I'm hustling towards 91, but it's just a fact. Within living memory and within very current times, we have had wonderful old men. Americans remember Jimmy Carter, not Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan. He was not a boy. Most currently, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, took early this year or late last year, 93 years old.
Yes.
He's done wonders. He's done what almost no other leader in the world today has been able to do for Malaysia. Is that right? He's 93.
That's true.
Moody Award is in 91. So I don't think this age issue should come up. What we should be using these to raise the discussion is who do we appoint in this country? And this is where the problem is. The problem in this country is that the president of this country, not just Uhuru or Kibaki, the leadership of this country seems to think if you want to get somebody from Kisi, it can only be somebody from Nyachai or somebody related to Nyachai. If you want something from Busia, it must be a Moody Award. And you can go on and on. If you go to Kericho, we have said it's the chariots there. This is what's wrong with this country. And number two, Ken, and we must use this kind of issue to address this problem. We are doing badly as a country because we have never known the value of persons in things. Those countries that have developed because they long learned for everyone job, the best man or woman. For everyone job, the best man and that's why they are where they are and we are where we are.
Okay.
It should not be a question of age. Okay. Of course, young people will always say things, surely, at what point shall we be employed? But it's just one job. I don't think age is an issue. The issue is, can we stop looking
and it's a board
in the same place?
And it's a board.
And secondly, can we please begin as a country learning the value of the right person for every job?
Okay.
The reason why the Malaysians put Mahathir back into power is to end corruption, because where he left Malaysia, they were left with no option because corruption. Remember the guy who he took out? He was found with $130 million cash in his house. He was a thief. So the guy it was his idea. It is always said it only takes one man to change a society. The George Washingtons, the Winston Churchills.
William Ruto.
No, William Ruto. Let me tell you.
You know, you almost said William Ruto.
But let me tell you.
Yeah, William Ruto. Continue.
This issue of meritocracy, what Kenya has that most African countries don't have is human capital.
Correct.
So, therefore, meritocracy. I said once when Kibaki was appointing Kikuyus to power, I said, what if he just appointed the best of the Kikuyus? The country would be okay. Nobody, like Donald Trump just took power. He went to White House with his son, his daughter, everybody. Americans are not complaining about him just favoring his family. But he was trying to do something that their society accepts. In the case of Moody, I want to challenge my friend Uhuru Kenyatta. Go and listen to what you have just said. Moody has never been a sportsman. Moody has nothing in his own illustrious career that can endear him to look after the youth in terms of sports. You know, really, you know, when we just clap for him, what he's doing as a president, one of the greatest things that people put in a president is hope. A president must inspire hope. We have over 50% youth unemployment. And in this country, what he's doing is courting a revolution. When Jubilee took power, they said the youth, Uhuruto, was about youth. They didn't want the old. In fact, they told Raila, go home, you are old. Go home with Kibaki, you are old. What has changed? What has changed is that what he is doing is not good for our country. And Moody, I want to encourage Uncle Moody, Mzee that I respect so much. Please don't take that job. You are hurting the future generations.
Okay.
You are killing the inspiration of our people.
Daisy.
I think it was a very unfortunate remark. Those were very unfortunate remarks from the president. Because I don't subscribe to ageism myself either. But I think that for him to shift the blame to the youth, to say that, you know, when we give youth jobs that they steal, this, you know, I sometimes really wonder how even the president's handlers give him information. Because the problem of corruption is actually a problem of the breakdown of public service administration, you know? That people can go in and steal, and it's been happening for so long. Of course, it's been completely rampant. I mean, Jubilee have brought us galloping corruption. And the people who've been doing it actually are not youth. It happened, in fact, the biggest, the most brazen corruption was in the name of empowering youth. Yes. In the national youth service. The most brazen, blatant, and, you know, in your face corruption. And it wasn't the youth who were doing it. They were being used as conduits to do it, you know? And I think it's unfortunate. I saw you clapping. You clapped when the president said that. And I think that youth should have been upset, you know? And I think that it's so wrong. And I agree with Jacoya. The president is supposed to be a symbol of hope. He's supposed to inspire. He's supposed to be encouraging our youth. At least 65% of this country are youth. We have over 50% unemployment. How do you make a statement like that as a head of state? So for me, it's unacceptable that the president can make such a statement, because in other words, what he's telling us is that they're not putting in systems to actually absorb this youth or to build their capacity to take over. And what does that mean then? You know, 2 years, 2 campaigns, 2 terms of the campaign has been focused on the youth. And if there's one group of people, well, let me say 2 groups of people that the president has shortchanged because he has used them as campaign tools, it is youth and women.
Okay. But when you look at the faces of the billionaire thieves in this country,
they are not
when they are splashed
youth.
in newspapers,
They're not youth.
They're young men and hawezi ni vijana.
No, by the way, Haman, you hawezi ukasema hivyo, and I think it is wrong, because those are, you know, that kind of profiling is also what is killing our youth today. Being young in Kenya is almost criminal. People are being gunned down simply because they are young,
yes,
and they look energetic. People are being gunned down. Young people are being denied opportunities simply because they are demanding for opportunity. I think we need to be careful the kind of statements that we make as people, because if our youth continue to hear these sound bites from people like Manyora, from people like the president, then they will have no other option but
I like us to close this discussion. I've kept you here very long. So I'm going to show you a cartoon of the same discussion we're having, and then you comment about it, and it's your last opportunity, and you can also wish, like Mheshimiwa here has to wish your constituents or your county happy New Year. Yes. Let's take a look at this.
Jamhuri Day.
Jamhuri Day and everything else. All right, that's a young man who's trying to get a job, and right in front is an old man, and then on the other side, he goes to a kinyozi, a barber, and asks for a hairstyle that befits him, that makes him look like an old man, and then he goes back for the job. He now looks
actually, it is me
preferred age.
It is me and Manyora. I am just away Manyora. Manyora is given.
But you have to get a hairstyle. Now, that is the plight of the youth right now. What they're thinking about is, let me look like a deserving person, then go for it. Perhaps I'll get it. That's what the cartoon is depicting. So I'll begin, let me begin with just short answers because we have to end.
Begin with Manyora.
Actually, for the purpose of this discussion, yes, I am Manyora.
And this is Abdallah.
Yes, the oldest of the panel. It's unfortunate. We are laughing about this issue, but I'm a young person. Just elected to parliament, maybe not more than 3 or 4 years ago. And I continue to share in the frustrations of the young people of this country. It is not lost on me. Sometimes I see the little privileges that being a member of parliament has extended to me, but I have never lost touch with how it used to feel for me about 5 or 6 years ago, when I used to try and come into NTV here, just looking for a job, and you're told, drop your CV here with a watchman. Today, these ones who salute nowadays when you come in, that is the struggle of the millions of young people in this country. And it's unfortunate that on each and every other occasion that we get an opportunity for them to either advance their cause, we still do not believe in them.
Okay.
Yet, 70% of the population of Africa is youth. That is a population that we depend on, that we rely on to change the fortunes of this continent. We must have a serious dialogue. In fact, to me, I know Jacoyo may dispute this, the issues and the plight and the challenges of what is facing the young people of this country is far more pressing than any other problem we are dealing with currently.
Okay.
And that's where I pick up. I think it is not just unfortunate, it's actually a time bomb to have so many young people equipped with all manner of certificates, with no hope, no access to job, with unemployment rate in this country. We are actually with a time bomb. That's quite correct. And therefore, leadership of this country, Cheriot, I'm addressing you, you must do whatever it takes to open up, to make this country become productive, to steal less. And that's why I send you to
Cheriot is the one stealing.
That's why I send Cheriot to his people and to other people who have their people. Instead of saying, defending Mwizi wetu, I want young people like you to be very vocal against young people, especially if they come from your area. Some of these CEOs, 35, 38, 40, who are an embarrassment, for example, the Kalenjin community, who are an embarrassment to young people. That's what we must be doing today. When you hear a thief from your community, especially a young man, you should be mad enough to want to beat him. Okay. Tell him you are spoiling for other young people. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Instead of saying we know Mwizi wetu. And as for Mudiawori and the other old people, Mudawara included, we as young people always will feel bad when old men are given a job. But if it is just one job, because on the table, you will always have one old man like I'm here with the rest of you who are young. There's nothing wrong with the Uhuru throwing in one Mudi Award there. one, is it called Mudaura?
Yeah.
Mudaura there, out of the hundreds of thousands of public servants. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that, so long as they are productive.
Okay.
But the more important thing is to create jobs and opportunities for young people, especially leaders, and not to protect the thieves, especially if they are young.
Only two things I want to say, Ken. You know, in good civilizations, people work and retire. And I think biblically, somebody is born, you are a youth, you are middle-aged, then you retire, then you die.
Yes.
For us to say that it is that people can work and their brain can work forever, as if they are playing God, I think we are creating a very bad imagination in the minds of our youth. People must retire. I watched this week the whole funeral of George W. Bush, George Walker, Herbert Bush. And I saw the history, the rich history. And the son said that during his last days he was watching police movies. He had accepted retirement and he went to rest, to be with the Lord when he had accepted. When you tell a 91-year-old man that he must go to work every day, he will die unprepared. I can tell you. Okay. Second thing I want to say, in this whole thing about you, because I know not Jubilee, not NASA has an idea how to do it. And the leaderships, imagine they know everything. I took my time about 3 months ago, and I watched the NASA campaigns. Then I watched the Jubilee campaigns. Nobody spoke about the economy.
Okay.
They were going to dance with the electorate. The youth and the women are dancing for them. And hence, when the president proposes the increment of tax on fuel, everybody's supporting, even the NASA people. The contradictions are simply too huge for us. We must reorganize ourselves. I don't think empowering women is giving them 2,000 shillings in market centers. Let us have a country with equal opportunity for all. Just take away the discriminations. Let the youth compete with the middle age. There are many people who are youth. Look at the Prime Minister of Canada. Look at the President of France. They're youth. Austria too. You know, so I think we need to free ourselves from this repugnant thinking.
Okay, Daisy, final.
I want to just say one thing that I think all of us need to remember is that Kenya, we haven't even begun to tap the potential of our country, the immense potential in this country, both in terms of human resource, in terms of natural resource, in terms of other opportunities. And I think that our leadership needs to begin to really set its mind or their minds towards creating that enabling environment, creating opportunities. You know, we are constantly seeing a focus on bringing in foreigners. Kenya is being set up so that foreigners can come and invest. There's very little that is being done in terms of generating productivity among Kenyans, okay? So that even this mindset of that, you know, we have to wait for people to be appointed and we have to wait for people to get jobs. We need to create an enabling environment. Kenyans are very innovative. Even the young people. The fastest growing sector is the SME, and this is Kenyans using their innovation to create those opportunities, to create opportunity for them to earn an income. And so I think that the government really needs to employ itself on how it can generate the productivity of Kenyans and give opportunities for these young people, for the women, for everybody in this country to maximize their full potential. I think it's unfortunate that we continue to see our youth as problematic, you know, as opposed to seeing them as a potential that can be tapped for our benefit. And so we need to revise our thinking. And I'm hoping that even as, you know, the president makes a speech tomorrow, that he's actually going to speak about some of these things. Because after the things that we've been doing, the economists in Treasury seem to be very lazy. You know, it's very lazy thinking to think that the way to generate income for your government is to tax the people or to sell, you know, the parastatals and whatever. Because next year's budget, how will they finance it? Will they sell us? You know, so we need to start thinking more creatively.
Okay. Okay, a good place to end our discussion. And just as we look at the feedback, I'd just like to put one up from my laptop. The rest assured that the DPP was watching. Yeah, they have just tweeted something. You can pick that from my laptop, and highlighted the rights of arrested persons. It's right there. So they've given us the Article 49 that Aaron was speaking about, saying the 24 hours after being arrested, all that factor that we're talking about. So they've heard, the DPP has heard, especially your concerns on Kamata Friday. All right.
Yeah. He has heard, eh?
Yeah. He's had that. All right, before we do the final part of the show,
DPP.
let's take a look at some of your feedback now.
You're doing a good job.
All right, that's from Footballpedia. The judiciary is slowing down the fight against corruption by just giving bail and bond to those people. It's almost predictable. Assumptions of innocence is just another loophole in our system. Our judiciary is so corrupt. Tarakanit Finance says, let them get arrested on Friday. Let them get that experience when they stole. They didn't consider it was which day and how it would affect Kenyans. All right. So they stole on any day. Let them just be arrested on a Monday. So Friday is okay. And the final one, the Kamata Friday has been happening to the common Mananchi. The red carpet thieves should get used to
Kenyans
it. On the war on graft, let there be no sacrifice.
Kenyans are speaking.
Some of your feedback, a lot of them still online. We'll try and tweet and look at them if we can. And finally, a day like this, that's 55 years ago, several Kenyans were gathered at State House Garden to celebrate the Jamhuri Day. 4 out of the 4,000 at the garden party guests were Mau Mau generals. If it was today, then the 4 generals will be mingling with the VIPs at the State House grounds. They will be decked in khaki uniform with picked caps. They were all from Nyeri, the 4 generals. And they were Kibera Gatu, who was arrested in 1955, Kimba, Kamwamba, and Ndugu, who were arrested a year later, that's 1956. If not, it's not so clear, this picture you're seeing right now. Now, the late founding president, Jomo Kenyatta, is in that picture. So is the British Colonial Secretary, Duncan Sandys, and the Governor General, Malcolm Donald. And also in the picture is the Duke of Edinburgh. Now, the lone lady you see in that picture is Indira Gandhi. She was an Indian politician, a stateswoman. She was the first and, to this date, the only female prime minister in India. Suffice to say, she was the daughter of the first Indian prime minister. At midnight of the 12th of December, Kenya became free. Now, Kenya joined the Council of the World at a minute past midnight, just in a few minutes, about 6 minutes, as the green, red, and black, and of course white standard broke where a moment before then the Union Jack had flown. Now, the lights dimmed suddenly at midnight in the arena, and the Union Jack in total darkness. A moment later, the lights came back, and Kenya flag was slowly raised. A good place to end tonight's show, just 6 minutes before that date 55 years ago. Now, this is the last Sidebar Live of 2018. Happy holidays from the entire Sidebar team right here, led by my very able producer, Rosalie Karanja. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll be back next year, and thank you for sharing this with us. Asante sana.
Asante.
Thank you.